Alrighty, good morning everybody, here we are. Looks like we're live, yay, yes, yay, new intro indeed.
I'm in a very different spot.
I was just going to comment that there seems to be yeah, there we are, Drew's now in the Drew box, Spider's now in the Spider box, we just need Chevalier to return to the Chevalier box. There.
That was great.
Excellent, yes. The part
I'm used to being down the bottom, like shoved down the bottom.
I'm just going to say the part of Jasper.
It was nice to be on
where you
top.
belong.
Yeah, the part of Jasper to be will be played by Lucas. What? Yeah. I think that's going to have to be a plot line.
I'm so ready for that to be a thing where we all just like change bodies or something.
We just have to change our cameras.
I was just going to say, well,
Yeah.
I mean, Scrappy Doo, you know, something.
The last game we played together when Sam was GMing, we had to like change characters, like we played each other's characters and stuff. That was fun.
Yes,
that is true. Yes,
I remember watching that and thinking that was terribly fascinating. Just the idea that you had a stable of characters and you just played who you felt like that day.
It was incredibly fun. I don't know if it made for the best viewing experience.
It was
because it was like hard for people. They'd come in one week and they'd be like, "Wait,
who are these people?"
And this person's someone completely new altogether.
Well, what I found with it was that, for me at least, I became fans of you, not your characters.
Yeah,
that's part of the that was part of what actually that actually is what sold me on when I had the opportunity to set this up originally with the original channel. It's the reason I got a hold of Chantal, was because I remember having watched all of you, and I couldn't remember the character she played, but I remember how well she'd done it. So I decided, right.
Let's throw out these characters then and like play. I'll play this guy instead.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, all right. I'm ready. Let's do it.
No, you see, the song is connected.
Connected to everything. Let's just play something. Let's play different characters. Let's swap. Just swap entirely.
I will be William Shakespeare today.
Oh my God.
Verily shall I speak every line and verse.
Oh my goodness.
What class does Shakespeare count as?
Bard.
I mean, he's the bard. He's obviously.
What kind of question is that?
I was hoping to be like, it's like, well, you'd think it's Bard, but he's actually.
Yeah, I'm ready for him to be like a paladin.
More of an artificer.
All right.
He's a wizard.
Then,
a word wizard.
Yes. So
my only other alternative is this character, and I think we all know that that's a bad idea.
Oh, okay. So Untitled Goose Game is probably the greatest thing ever made.
I think the only thing they did wrong is they didn't use a Canadian goose. I think it's the only part that's really not terribly believable.
They've both been muted for their behavior.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I noticed that. I thought it was misspelled. It said you have been muted by Must.
Yes.
Muted by host.
The Must has hoted you.
Okay.
Anyone notice that we were away for a week?
Yeah.
Focus issues.
This is what happens.
Alrighty then, folks. So let's start with the character. It has been 2 weeks since the last time we played. I was out last week due to health issues, but we're back. So let's start out, and Alexandre, your recollections of events leading up to this point.
Yes. Merci beaucoup. Oh, whoa. Whoa. Look at it. I was in a tree, and then I was enjoying my time in the tree, and then Lucas decided that he was going to bother me in my tree. I ended up getting out of the tree. We had a conversation. And then we went and met Ch1, who is the grand-mère of at least these Ebon Elves. I don't know how many Ebon Elves she is the grand-mère of, but she is clearly very busy with Edgewaters, so maybe all Grommares. I don't know. And it turns out that she had an interesting time with Lucas Edgewater Sr., who is alive. And I told Lucas Jr., I suppose, now, about this, and he was very happy. And then I went and partied, and I had fun. And it has been a good day.
Okay. Lucas, since your name was taken in vain, your thoughts on recent events, please.
Yes. So I was, if I recall, training in the garden. I thought I would try and tap into the song. I heard the song. It was coming from a tree, and lo and behold, there's Alexandria up a tree. Talked to her. She came down. She promised to have fun at the ball. And then we went to the ball. We met the grandmother. She told me many things about my grandfather, and they were very exciting. I'm pretty certain that they were absolutely banging each other and having a wonderful time. As some sort of transaction, I don't know. Whether or not they were genuinely in love, don't know. But I didn't really ask. I just asked her lots of questions about my grandfather, because that is kind of amazing, because I've barely met the man himself. What else? We danced. We did... what else did we do? Seemed fun. We had lots of fun. Oh, Alexandria, yes, told me that my father is alive, which
Grandfather.
I went and told Jasper this thing, and Jasper ran away from the party for a bit. And then Chevalier did this amazing dance and reveal in this outfit that was quite impossibly crafted using the help of two tailors. Have I missed anything? I think I've missed a lot, but that's what I remember.
Okay. Jasper, did your brother miss anything?
Not for the most part. We're on our little sojourn in the Ebonelf high country, enjoying a ball of the Fisher Festival and meeting the matriarch of the family. I suppose what the others don't know is that Aquidian has work for us, though he hasn't revealed what it is yet, because you don't mix business and pleasure. And I definitely didn't dance at the ball after they all left and make a spectacle out of myself and earn the attention of a very hot and very insistent male Ebonelf. That definitely didn't happen.
No, it didn't happen. No, not at all.
That it happened. And so,
When
Excuse
you
me,
say
we
it, it
did.
sounds like
We
it did
danced
happen.
together.
that's right. That's right. We had a brotherly dance together.
All right. And anything else, Jasper?
I vaguely remember you saying the phrase that you're all interesting enough that should you want to not wake up alone, then you won't. And get back to me on that.
Did you not avoid hot elf very well?
Maybe? I don't know yet. I'll toss the coin.
You avoid him too well.
All right. And Chevalier, recollections of recent events, please.
Part of me had expected, after the events with the sparring that Lucas and I had done, that it would cast a pallor across the group for at least a little while. So I was pleasantly surprised when it seemed that Lucas and Alexandre had cleared the air, as it were. We then met with more of the Dashamali family and were given some insights into Lucas Edgewater Sr. and his adventures as an airship captain. Strikingly, it does appear that his destination and the destination that Alexandre is being told to go to by the song are, at the very least, in a very similar direction. It will be interesting what we find when we get there. I did have a suit made for me. I mentioned the previous night that while I had attended many functions and balls, I had never actually been invited to one directly. And they decided that in that case, I absolutely had to have a suit. Though they also mentioned that it was quite a good, I guess, publicity stunt for their little tailoring business. And I guess it did quite well, as I was allowed to keep the suit. But it was a good night, and I think we needed a good night.
All right then. So, morning. It's being a bunch of being a bunch of you know, quote, day hawks amongst a bunch of currently living in amongst a culture of night owls. There's this very odd transition that happens when the sun touches the horizon, more so in a way that, you know, with of course, yeah, you're all used to staying up after dark. You're not. Yeah, when it gets dark, your skin doesn't suddenly start to experience burns, and your eyes don't suddenly try and fall out of your head. Yeah, that's just. I mean, that's just not a thing that.
I just haven't tried.
So, whereas the Ebon Elves are much more tied to the actual cyclic of the sun. For them, this sunlight, if you recall, is mechanically, it is sufficiently damaging to them. It is a mechanical disadvantage. And so for them, they are much more tied to the cycle of the sun than you are. You folks being up after dark is just inconvenient. For them, being up after dawn is actually painful. Yeah, I mean, certainly there are some concessions. There are heavy blinds that get pulled across all the windows and things like that. So, you know, a little bit of, you know, the odd person or two who've got business, basically, you know, giving instructions to the day staff and things like that. There'll be a little bit of overlap, but it's literally behind blackout curtains and things like that. So there's, you know, this period right around dusk to, pre-dawn towards, you know, after sunrise, or the house the entire estate sort of falls into this semi-state of limbo, if you will, where, you know, one group of people are just in the process of getting themselves up and organized for the day, and the previous group of people have all packed in already, you know, and are already in their rooms with the blinds drawn. Because the Ebon Elves absolutely do adore their vistas. So there are panes of glass here that are floor to ceiling, and then amusingly covered by, you know, heavy velvet drapes everywhere. You know, and you know, whereas you folks are used to in the evenings, that's when the drapes get pulled across the curtains. For them, in the evenings when the drapes get opened. Right. And so there's this bizarre, inversion of culture and ritual compared to what you're all used to. So, do you guys want to start at breakfast, or do you want to start in your individual rooms?
I think I want to start in the room that I'm in.
In the room where it happened? Is that what you're saying? You want to be in the room where it happened?
Wait, we're going to see
like
what happened
Well,
in the
the
room where it
question
happened?
is,
I will remind
room
you
where it
that
happened?
officially this is not an R-rated, an R-rated.
yeah. I won't. We'll be
I
very
don't even think it's officially it's an M-rated show. So it's like,
friendly.
Hang on. I didn't. Do we have a rating?
Well, actually, just for those of you who don't know, I actually do tend to use the ESRB and everything. Any of my games, my players know this, but essentially, I aim for M. So suggestive is okay, explicit is not, just because it squicks too many people.
I just imagine us going explicit and it just being absolutely counter to everything that we have established so far in this world. Like how our story has turned. Yeah.
we roped you in for 13 episodes.
All right, so Spider. So what's Spider's story then?
Well, my question to you is, are there characters who are off limits?
So I guess so. The short version is that no matter how hard anybody tries, Aquidian's just not happening. Grand Mare just isn't happening. But other than that, with reasonable explanation, there's just generally an aura of nod.
Aquidian was the top of my list, but no,
Aquidian. If anyone actually asks Aquidian, you'll find out he's in a committed relationship.
I see. Then I think Spider. The camera on Spider is of him sitting in a chair in the side of some sort of guest room. Mm-hmm. That's clearly not his because it doesn't have a pyramid of glasses of water.
Yes.
And he's like maybe smoking something and looking over at a bed where Amato and someone else are asleep in the bed.
Sure.
And Spider is shirtless, and I think we've only seen him shirtless once before, and he's just covered in spider and web tattoos and scars all over his torso. Mm-hmm. And he's just smoking and sort of watching them, and then like a peak of light behind the heavy curtains or whatever.
Right.
And he squints and stands up and wanders his way towards breakfast.
Okay, sure. I will just skip around here. Lucas. Where's Lucas waking up?
In the garden.
Okay.
And it's like he's alone. Mm-hmm. In fact, he has no idea how we got there.
Okay. Just to complicate things, then you're going to find a black rose on the ground beside you.
Oh, there's because he's also naked, so it's naked and a black rose in the garden. I suppose he's going to do a walk of shame of sorts, but fortunately it's daylight, so I don't know.
And it's early enough. The day staff are still only getting themselves organized. So, at one point in time, you're going to encounter some servant going somewhere who's going to look at you, blink for a moment. There's going to be that kind of. And just keeps going.
Yeah, I reckon I'm going to try and ask a question. It's like, have you seen my clothes?
No,
I'll just go to...
and apparently neither of you. Maybe check your room. Bye.
I'm going to go to my room.
So there's a hasty exit on their part, and
Great.
all right then. All right, Alexandre. Where does Dawn where does Dawn find Alexandre?
Alexandre is sneaking with last night's dress out of someone else's room and realizing, oh, hang on, I don't know where my room is from here.
Is this a moment where Alexandre and Lucas run into each other and Lucas is naked and Alexandre is holding a dress?
No, she's wearing her dress. She's wearing her dress.
The way,
corset is not.
The way
No,
you were like this, I was thinking, well, she's just in that mental state.
She's just holding the dress up.
she's holding the dress. She's wearing the so she's wearing the shift.
Yeah. Okay.
No, holding a corset, holding a dress, and just sort of like running around trying to get her bearings.
That's still funny as hell. Yes. So yeah, what attempted to be a sneak out turns into a blunder. And yes, but so it's going to take you more than not exactly a lap around the building before you finally get your bearings, but yeah, close enough. It certainly felt like at least a lap. That's the great thing about squares. While you might think there's only one way to go, it turns out that's not the case.
It's not the case. Somehow she doubled back and ended up like in the spa and was like, cool, yeah, I know where the bathroom is. I know how to get back to my room from the bathroom. Turns out there's a second bathroom. Just keeps running. Runs into Lucas, apparently.
Oh, gosh.
Alexandre. Do you know where
Holds
our
up
rooms
dress.
are?
I am lost.
Me too.
Well,
Can I borrow your dress?
yes.
I'm gonna put on the dress as much as I can. I don't know if it'll fit me.
Put it on? That's not.
I'm gonna wrap it around my waist. I'm gonna
that'll fit
tie
you.
it
Yes, that's
in some form just to cover it up, or whatever.
Is there a moment when it's like he's trying to get into the dress and it just takes a little while to realize, oh, that's not,
Oh,
none of this
definitely.
will work. Hang on. It's like, wait, over the head. Oh, wait, no,
And Alexandre starts out like absolutely not watching, and then the more he starts to fumble with it, the more she's like,
Like, why is this hard? I can get in and out of that in a minute.
but also like it's the size difference between us. That's absolutely not going to be a thing. What are you doing?
So we realize that Lucas has poor perception of size.
is this why he's often naked? He just doesn't understand clothes.
We add this to the list of things Lucas does not understand about the world.
Loaded.
All right. And Chevalier, what's up with Chevalier?
Look, Chevalier is actually in his room,
Okay.
which is surprising in that he's the only one who was, and also it's probably the first time he's spent a significant amount of time in the room that was given him, but potentially as like Alexandre and Lucas managed to find their way back, there would be actively suspicious noises coming from the room. We'll phrase it like that.
Okay, no, I'm not going into my room with that. You can't say that and then expect me to just go into my room. What?
What does that even mean? Actively suspicious
Actively
noises.
suspicious noises.
Like a lot of muffled like
I'm thinking the Pink Panther theme here.
Hey, that's
Suspicious.
like you hear like
No, it's not what we hear.
something there's like a banging sound. There might be a grunt at some point. Gosh, I hope not. But no, like a lot of the noises sound a lot more feminine.
oh,
And
I
less
don't want to hear that again.
I don't want to play this game with you anymore. Not this game. This game.
That happen.
Right then.
I mean,
Unless anyone's coming in or knocking.
yeah, I'm knocking on that door. But there's no way. There is absolutely no way Alexandra would hear noises like that and then be like,
The
"Oh, you know
audience is
what? I should
knocking
go
on that
into my
door."
room." The audience is coming with me. We are all knocking on that door.
Well, it's answered by Zadreza. And then as you and she's like, yeah, cool. And you sort of look past her and there's Zadrina's there as well. And Chevalier. And they're clearly playing some kind of card game. That and like something's happened, but the dresser is like bent double laughing, and she's just like slamming her hand onto a table. And they're clear, and it's like it's some like I had a game in mind and I can't now, and now I can't forget it. But it seems to be like it's like at a glance, it's like I don't know what any of this is, but like there's cards, but they've been held the wrong way. They've got a thing on their head. I don't know what's going on, but it's some kind of like something's happening. And like Chevalier's like taken off the suit and he's like hung it up somewhere, quite neatly. But they clearly just been, and he's he's like, "Oh, Alexandra, good morning. How are you? Did you have a good night?"
Yes. Backing out.
Just
Closing door.
Just going to say, before you close the door, the last thing you're actually going to hear is Jazina. Jazina will look up from her hand of cards, look at you, shake her head, and push a stack of tokens over towards the empty spot at the table.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Was it
And that-
Chevalier that answered the door, or was it? I got.
It was Zadreza.
So yeah, then push. Then we'll kind of look at you, shake her head, look at Chevalier, fine, and shoves a stack of tokens over towards Chevalier.
Oh man. I brought the walk of shame to them. Go back to my room in shame.
All right. So we'll skip ahead a little, an hour or two. Everyone's had what passes for a nap, and the unmistakable smells of breakfast are wafting through the place. So yeah, what does breakfast look like for you lot?
Greasy. It's like just meat.
Eating together, eating in your rooms, eating out in the garden, eating together individually. What are you doing?
Lucas has no problem with eating with everyone, so I reckon
Yeah.
he'll go to a common area.
All right.
Probably the same.
Okay. Spotter?
I think Spider's actually out in the training yard, just running, doing laps.
Okay. All right. So conspicuously absent from well, I was just going to say, Chevalier doesn't need to eat per se, but I suspect that will be hanging around the area that Alexandria's in as per usual. Is that a yes or a no?
He's not like he like after like the first night, he's fairly certain that this is a relatively safe area, so he doesn't need to be like hovering over Alexandre to any extent.
So okay, so it'll be
he's basically sort of like there's enough people with enough bodyguards that if someone tried something, that'd be a real bad idea. So like it's just like he doesn't. There was an initial moment of like that's a lot more people than I was expecting, and then just like when he saw who they were, he's like, nah, this is fine.
Yeah, I was just going to say this essentially you do not conduct an assassination at this location. You conduct a commando raid. That's the only way to get anything done around here.
And anything that would have to require would be there's enough people there. He's like he's like no, it's not. Don't do this enough people. So he's less concerned.
Sure. So it's just going to be Alexandria and Lucas at the breakfast table then. Fair enough. So go ahead, you two.
I found my clothes.
I notice. What did you do with mine?
I handed them over to one of the house staff. They're going to wash them for you and repair them. They didn't fit me. So how was your evening?
It was good. It was fun.
You had fun?
Yes.
That's good.
I promised. And I did.
And you kept your promise.
Yes. And yours?
I can't remember much. I remember dancing. I remember talking. I remember some very flirty elves. And then I remember the garden. So I guess it's fun.
I suppose you'll find out soon.
Yeah, so I guess we've got a bit of a mystery on our hands. Detective Lucas, on the case. What happened to my evening? That's the mystery.
And you will solve it how? Are you just going to ask everyone you see?
That's a good starting point.
No, that wasn't a genuine suggestion.
Well, it's not. You have to interview your
I wasn't
witnesses,
suggesting you
don't
should
you?
do
You
that.
need to figure out exactly who saw what.
maybe,
You need to create a timeline. And if
Yes,
any
that would
offense
be
was
embarrassing
occurred,
for
then
you.
you need to figure out who was there, who saw it.
Right. That's not how I would do it, but
I'm kidding, Alexandre.
I see. Okay. You know, sometimes I don't know if you are kidding or not.
I know. And look, I guess I should be more clear at times. But hey, we had fun, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And where were you anyway?
What?
Doing the walk of shame.
I was busy.
And
I had a good time.
with who?
Does it matter?
No, but I'm just curious. If I could remember if or who I spent the night with someone, I'd want to share. I'd want to talk about it.
Why?
Because it's fun to unpick these things.
Why?
Because it's a...
What are you unpicking?
I don't know. What happened?
Well, I mean, I was in a state of undress. I think you can guess what happened.
It's fine. You don't need to say anything. I'm just curious. I thought, you'd want to share, but that's fine. It's okay, Alexandria. I don't want to press you into talking about something you don't want to.
I had sex. Why are you dancing?
I think that's when Spider walks in, like on that, and he's like, and has a croissant in his mouth, and then he just like slowly takes it out and puts it down and says,
Just is Jasper thinking, I know that. That's Lucas's someone else had sex dance.
So,
Can I just go into a high five?
do you remember Physio, Jamie? The halfling chap that you had.
yeah.
You see, as you're exiting the kitchen, basically just about a moment later, Physio comes bolting out of the kitchen and says, "Hey, would he know you as Spider or Jasper?"
Jasper, maybe Mr. Kilcare.
Fair enough. Well, yeah, but that's the question: is what would you have? Because you hung out for a.
I think I introduced myself as Jasper.
All right, hey, Jasper.
Yeah, mate.
Hey, kind of sidles up to you, passes you a glass of fruit juice. Hey, you forgot this, which is absolutely BS. You can tell that just by his body language. And he leans forward. Stay away from McQuidian today. He's in a royal pissy mood, just as a warning.
I could not hear you, Michelle.
Okay. He kind of leans up to you, literally up on the toes, kind of thing. He passes you the fruit juice.
Yeah. I mean, I've hung out with halflings before. I lean in.
Yeah, he says, stay away from McQuidian. He's in a he's up past his bedtime, and he's in a horribly pissy mood, just as a warning.
Yeah, I give him like a little nod and a wink.
He's a pretty nice guy, but his temper tantrums are absolutely spectacular. Fucking drama queen. Heads back to the kitchen.
So you two had sex then?
No.
Other. Oh, grow up.
I don't know who I had sex with. Alexandria, did we have sex?
No. Absolutely not.
Almost certainly not.
Okay. You sure?
Well, you were naked in the garden last I saw you, so...
Do you know what happened before that?
I wasn't particularly keen on finding out, to be perfectly honest.
Okay.
You said you wouldn't go around asking every person you saw.
Well, I mean, my brother. I can ask him.
I saw you from a window, so...
Huh.
Did you have sex?
No.
Oh.
Oh, come on, Jasper.
I didn't.
You didn't?
No.
Huh. Oh, well, I mean, that's fine.
There are other things of value in this world, brother. Just take a big bite of the croissant.
Are you schooling me?
I would never.
You are schooling me. Well, I'm glad you didn't have sex.
Me too.
Why?
Took quite some doing to set Amato up with somebody else, I can tell you that. He was very persistent.
Who?
The gentleman from the ball. Yeah, he danced with all of us.
Yes. You just set him up with someone.
Yes. So he'd stop bothering me.
Congratulations.
That elf was very keen on everyone. Is this a normal thing?
I don't know, actually.
Behind you, you see Chevalier and the two sisters, and the other sister that didn't give him money before is hearing this and just looks just like crestfallen, and also gives Chevalier money.
Chevalier,
Lucas,
did you see who I had sex with last night?
I didn't realize you had.
I'm trying to figure out if I did or not.
Okay, so I just implicitly that means that Jazina and Zadreza are there, and there's going to be this moment, and Jazina's going, she's going to like literally look at Zadreza. Do humans often have this problem where they have no idea where they've been the night before?
My brother had not been drinking for a while before.
I've been doing pretty well, actually.
I was very impressed with your...
With my what?
with your... Sorry, this is Jamie having a mind blank. What's the word? But you don't...
Resolve?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Ability to hold
no,
back.
not chastity, but like that.
Sobriety.
Yes, sobriety, I think is the word you're looking for.
It's not, but that'll do.
Fair enough.
Very impressed with your sobriety.
I know that you were trying to find the word there, but I still feel like you were joking right now.
No, I mean, you did very well. Everything here has alcohol in it, and honestly...
I know, the bread.
It's just like
keep in mind, though, you actually have to work overtime to keep alcohol in food. By definition, it evaporates.
Yeah.
So while it's going to all have very strong flavors of fermentation, the actual alcohol, molecular alcohol content in a slice of bread is pretty close to zero. I mean,
like,
unless you're dipping it.
In the drinks, on the other hand.
So Jazina and Zadreza will excuse themselves, and they've got to, apparently making some passing comment about having to go talk to Aquidian about some disaster that's unfolding, and then they need to get some sleep. So they stroll off.
Before they stroll off, actually, I would like to ask, probably Jazina.
Jazina is the short, portly one. Red eyes, dark, ash skin.
Whether it would be possible to speak briefly with Gromer. Not immediately.
No, well, yeah, probably after sundown. I'll let her know you're looking for a few minutes of her time. She pauses. Depending on what Aquidian's having a fit about, may change the schedule, but yeah, we'll see.
Yes. What exactly is Aquidian having a fit about?
That's just it. I don't know. I'm about to go find out.
I think I would like to find out too.
So anyway, so yes, so Jazine and Zadreza will head off towards towards the staircase and vanish. All right.
I'm trying to think what Lucas would do, but I have nothing. I think he's just going to keep eating. And eating. Because he's a growing boy.
He's a grown boy or a growing boy?
Growing, as in diameter.
Ah.
By the end of this fortnight, Lucas has put on 2 stone. And it's just not as like agile as he used to be.
Whoops.
All right. So yeah. So what does you folks plan for the day?
I am going to go and sleep.
All right. So Spider's napping off the morning. Fair enough.
Don't forget, hopefully Equidian's feeling more charitable by this evening. We do need to talk to him about work. If the 3 of you are interested in continuing that line of occupation throughout the rest of our short stay in the city.
I do love this leisurely lifestyle of parties, baths, and waking up in the garden, but I would like to do something.
Adventure.
That's what we're here for, isn't it?
Sorry about that, folks. All right.
Round.
Oh, I missed that, Chantel.
Oh, I said I would like to see what it is like underground.
Dark.
Yes, that would be correct.
There definitely seemed to be a suggestion that it would be theoretically possible for us to get to where we are going underground, though it did seem like it might take some time.
And be bloody dangerous.
Well, yes, that too.
But hey, Renamala might be an excellent guide.
Maybe.
But it does sound interesting.
Is this where we all run to Renamala? Like, everyone's just there smiling and thinking about going to Renamala to, like, take us through the Underdark.
So, just by the way, from a GM's perspective, if you folks want to do that, I'm totally okay with it. I don't have a bias either way about how you get there. So if you folks want to go ahead and explore the Underveld, you know, the cavern world beneath your feet, with or without Renamala, either of those things is totally cool by me. So it's entirely up to you which way you folks go things. You've still got the option of just catching. You've got passage booked on a ship next week to take you to Dusseldorf. So, you know, that's obviously an option, but if the idea of, you know, taking the long walk makes sense, I think that's fine by me. By the way, by straight distance, presuming that you can walk underneath the bay that separates the two of you, it's about 665 kilometers.
That was because the suggestion was like to go underground. Is like the only real method is walking.
Yeah,
It's
now,
not like
I was just going to say. Well, I mean, you guys haven't dug very far. Excuse the pun about what the options are. It's hard to imagine underground kingdoms existing without some kind of essentially the equivalent of horse and cart.
Sure,
the limitation on everything is speed of communications, and if you have to walk there all the time, it starts getting slow.
It was more from, and I could be not remembering this correctly, but my understanding was it was more that like when you get the further you go in, and if you're trying to get to the central plateau area, it's sort of like not as well mapped, and it's not necessarily a straight line. It's sort of because you're essentially going through a 3D up, down, all around, maybe climbing things, and so just more just like.
So presuming that there's a paved,
very all terrain.
So presuming that there's a flat paved road that runs that runs from under your feet straight to Dusseldorf, it would be about 17 days travel.
As opposed to how long by boat? Like
I just get hang on a second. Boat, about 5 days by boat.
Yeah.
But we get to stop off at really pretty music place.
17 days.
Well, that's like, that's like 8 weeks away. So we'd have to wait for 8 weeks, then see that concert, then take 17 days to get to.
Yeah, but just think the bad guys would never expect that to see.
Yeah.
They would never expect to beat us to where we're going.
If we just want to disappear, like going into the Underdark is a credit.
Certainly.
But you guys wanted to get to the plains, and that's a very slow way to do it.
Yeah. Obviously enough, if for whatever reason you have to go around the bay, you'll easily double that amount of time. Literal. If it turns out there isn't a highway that runs hither to yon, then you'll add half again to that time. So I mean, straight up, probably boat will ultimately be fastest. But yeah. So I mean, entirely up to you folks what you want to do. But I just want to let you know that there are sort of no preconceived requirements on my side.
Well, that's why I'm going to bed and finding out what Aquidian wants first.
Lucas needs sleep.
Alexandre needs sleep.
Right then, so
Valier doesn't.
I was gonna say, so everyone but Chevalier's napping off the morning. Got it.
Yeah.
What do you? So once the morning is done, are you going to be living a night elven an ebon elf schedule for the next couple of days, or what's the plan?
I think Lucas would not.
Okay.
Lucas would probably sleep it off until he feels like, he can get back up and still function. Mm-hmm. Which is only a few hours, but yeah.
All right. So
he's a day boy.
So Lucas is up and operational by lunchtime. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right. So what's the plan for Lucas then?
It would definitely be. I think he would go and probably. I know this is cliche, but he'd go and do some kind of physical practice of sorts.
Yeah.
Whether or not. I'm trying to think whether or not he knows that Renamala has got her apparatus. Like if he knows about it, that whole course. She's got her obstacle course.
Well, I thought you were talking about the wheelchair, and I was like, you can't possibly have missed that.
He's slow, but there's that. He's slow, but that would be standstill. Yeah. No, I mean, so for lack of a better way, I mean, there's actually an obvious area that's off to one side of the garden that's got archery targets. It's got a few. It's got it's got a couple of sword practice dummies. It's got the equivalent of the football confidence course thing where you get the tires and or the equivalent thereof, stuff to swing from. There's a bunch of there's, and obviously, in fact, I think Lucas will probably, it won't escape Lucas's notice, in fact, that there's actually reasonable training facilities here that are large enough to accommodate about a half dozen people doing any kind of morning military style training at the same time.
Great. Real. Awesome. Well, if he can't miss it, then I reckon he'll go there.
Yeah. It's
just to,
it's not part of the garden per se. It's out. It's actually it's off the garden, a short distance from the garden occupies the central square of the building, right? But it's only about 2/3 of that square. It's the north third is where the training area is, sort of wedged up in the gap between all the fancy rose bushes and hedge and all that stuff, which obscures the vision, from the rest of the building, and the servants' area to the north. So essentially, anybody who's clanging sword on shield or clunking away with a crossbow or whatever, that noise is just irritating the day staff.
Yeah, great, awesome. Well, I'm going to irritate the day staff by, just training. It's going to be basic training, because chances are Lucas has got a bit of a headache, and he needs to sweat out all of those toxins.
Yes,
I think you actually find Chevalier there as well, but he's clearly. He's essentially, it would, at a glance, it would look like he's not using the course correctly. But he's clearly doing something, like some kind of training, for lack of a better word. But it's not like, it's like, you're supposed to be, he's at like a sword dummy and he's just like staring at it or something. Or
you're meant to fight it.
You're trying to talk to it.
Well, hello, Lucas. That is not what I'm doing.
You're waiting for it to fight you?
I would be here for a while. I don't usually, any sort of gestures to the training course. I don't exactly have muscles that need to be honed, and most of my skills were built in. But some of my systems are not working as smoothly as I remember them. Sort of, I've let them atrophy. No.
What's that old
I would say rust, but, well, it's not exactly correct either.
If you don't use it, you lose it?
Seems to be the case. It wasn't something I was prioritizing keeping in tip-top condition, but at the same time, I did not expect it to simply not turn on. And I've got most of them back, but certain things, I'm trying to calibrate them.
Is there any way I can help?
I don't think so at the moment, but I will let you know if that changes. It's mostly an internal check at the moment.
How long has it been since you've had to use these?
Some of them I have not needed since when I was traveling with the Anvil Heart Company. Not a lot of call for, well, a war machine in the city.
No.
And certain functions, they feel sluggish, not as responsive, not as potent, I guess. It hasn't been too much of a problem once I got them some base functionality, but, well, every bit of edge can mean the difference.
I understand. I know this comes as no consolation, but the way you fought yesterday, day before, you wouldn't need any of those additions.
I feel like if we had been on equal footing and the stakes were such that we were actually committed to what we were doing, I think then I probably would. Very impressive. Though, I'm sorry it had to go as far as it did.
They are kind words, Chevalier. But as much as it shook me, don't tell Alexandre this, but one must take responsibility, even if their part may not seem so large. And I am as much at fault.
I already told this to your brother, but he asked me if I trusted the song. I told him I had never heard the song until that blacksmith event. It is, well, how do you trust something you have not met? But I know who it has chosen to represent it. I know who it selects for whatever it is it wants to do. And they have been some of the finest people I have had the privilege of knowing, yourself included. So I cannot say with honesty that I truly trust the song, but I trust the people that the song chooses.
That's comforting to hear, Chevalier. I think I'm in the same boat as you. I have no idea what this song wants. I don't think I trust it at all. But one has to trust oneself. One has to trust one's friends. I hope, sincerely, that if this song decides to do something that is not in anyone's favor, that you will do everything you can to stop it. Just as I would.
I have no loyalty to the song, just to Elena and Alexandre, and I like to think to yourself and your brother. And I do not believe the song would choose you or Alexandre for whatever it was. if it was not something that either of you would be ultimately otherwise, what would be the point?
Maybe it wants to use us.
I traveled with Alexandre's grandmother only really the end of her adventures, comparatively a short time compared to the rest of the company. We did good work. People who would otherwise not have received assistance. We were able to make an impact that I am proud of to this day. And while I do not believe we achieved fully what the song had ultimately wanted, it was clearly happy to assist in everything leading up to that. If it turns out that this has been some kind of on its path, frankly, it feels like a lot of wasted effort. There's easier ways to do harm.
You speak wise words, Chevalier. It's good to know that that part of your mechanism is fully functional.
Wow, that's not one of my systems. I'm just old.
Nice.
You pick up a few things.
Well, we must all seem like children.
No. You are, every one of you, incredible. Every day, every living thing I see fills me with awe and wonder.
Do you ever wish that you could eat?
On the one hand, there seems to be a lot of enjoyment in the process, flavor
That's
and
amazing.
whatnot. But the other side of things, it just seems like so much of your day.
What, going to the toilet?
Yes.
I don't know, you can get in and out within a couple of minutes.
But every day.
If you're regular, yes.
Just seems like a lot of hassle.
Never thought of it.
Well,
I
to be
suppose there are
fair,
some things that would be great if you could get rid of. Although, that being said, without any bowel functions, we wouldn't have fart jokes.
Oh, well, that would just be terrible. Tell me, Lucas, have you tried to create the shield again?
I haven't.
Ideally, it would be good, I imagine, to be able to create it at will and not when forced. I also would imagine, well, at least with Alexandre and Elena, they had quite a range of abilities. I am sure you are, well, we've only scratched the surface. And I think if you wish, I helped Alexandre explore what she was capable of in a much less confrontational manner. And I would be happy to help you as well.
Okay. Thank you. What's lesson number 1? Is it stabbing something?
Maybe it could be. I don't know. It is more about, it would be up to you. I imagine you are the one with the connection. It would be just a matter of connecting and seeing what you can do with it. Maybe it does involve stabbing someone. I don't know.
Okay. Michelle,
Yes.
connecting with the song.
Mm-hmm.
Lucas is going to try to do exactly that.
Sure. So the stat you drop points into is it was protection or creation. I can't remember.
I've got points in 3 of them: protection, creation, and energies in there too.
All right. Well, which one are you using, I guess, is the question. Like, when you say connect to this song, what do you mean? Can you hear it, or do you want to try and do something with it?
I think I'm going to try and do something with it.
All right, so what are you going to do?
And it's only because, like, there's the dummies there. So I think I'm going to try and do something with it, with the dummies.
All right. So
So it's not protection because I'm not being attacked.
right.
It could be creation and it could be energy. So either one.
I would just roll energy, I think. Roll
Okay.
energy.
I guess I'm going to try. Yeah. Connect with the song and attack a dummy.
Yeah. So roll energy. See what you come up with.
Yeah, that's a 5 all up.
A 5 all up. So, from Chevalier's perspective, Lucas is going to get this very stern expression on his face, drop into a fighter's guard without a sword in his hand, and thrust his hand out, and absolutely nothing is going to happen. And there's going to be this long, awkward pause while he's standing there holding his shield with his hand stuck out towards the dummy, looking intently at the dummy with nothing happening.
Bugger. Did you see anything? Anything? Did I glow? Did I float? Did I something? Okay.
I don't think it happened. And I don't think it will be a quick process. But it will, I believe, happen. I mean, we now know at least one way to not do it. That is progress.
Is there anything that you picked up from Elena and Alexandri? Anything they did?
They often, as far as I can tell, their connection may be more direct or more established. They do not struggle to hear the song. It is a part of their day-to-day. If I were to guess, and I have no real evidence, but my thinking is that if I were a powerful and unknowable entity with a specific goal, I would not continue to try the same thing time and time again when it was not successful. So this time, maybe instead of just one, it has reached out to try and at least enhance or bestow a little more to more than just one person.
Mm-hmm.
I would not worry about forcing it to happen so much as allowing it to occur. You are not some wizard casting and crafting a spell. You are a conduit. You are directing power from somewhere else, not generating it or crafting it yourself.
Okay.
All right, we're going to close the scene there, and it's break time. So we'll take a few minutes, and when we come back, give some space to Alexandre and Spider if they want to get some things done, and then we'll figure out what happens next. All right. So we'll be right back. I need to leg stretch and refill my mug, all the other stuff, so shouldn't be too long. And yeah, So tell me a little bit about Alexandre's afternoon.
I know that was my homework to think about that, but let's make it up.
Yes, Miss.
Because I didn't. Look,
That sounds like homework, yes.
I didn't say I was good at PhD. It's just happening, and I'm in it. Alexandre would have spent the afternoon. Originally, she'd have started out going for a swim,
All right.
and then she'd have climbed through trees.
So, yeah, you swim in the river down off the dock?
Yeah.
All right. So, I think probably there is going to be
The safe place. Wait, there were things in one of them.
I was just gonna say no. I mean, it's but it's just. I think there's going to be that moment. The best way of describing what happens is you see Alexandre running down the length of the dock, diving in, and then it looking like the entire scene is being played backwards, followed by her huddling in her towel for a moment, having been rudely reminded that, oh, by the way, that's water running off the mountains from glaciers and snowmelt. So once the initial shock,
I like this because so often Lucas is called the idiot.
Yes.
now it's noticeably above zero because it's had a few hundred kilometers of early spring frozen river bottom to roll over, but but it's let's just say it's refreshing. It's definitely the.
She's awake.
Oh yeah. I was just gonna say, but I don't know how much actual Arctic water swimming you've done. Once you guys got that reaction, it's like that's actually not bad.
Yeah. Kind of want to stay in,
Yeah.
but not that bad.
So that awkward moment where the air temperature, which is not quite double digits, is noticeably warmer than the water temperature. So you can do some swimming. Probably you'll eventually have to wind up back in the bathhouse just to warm up again. But yes.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely doing that. And then swing through trees,
All right then.
as it were. Just climbing,
Yep.
spending some time in the trees. And then
Is there anything going on in her head while she's doing this, or is she trying to remain a blank slate?
mostly remaining a blank slate. She's just kind of trying to oddly recover her youth. She's just trying to have fun as the kid
Right.
before she traveled. and before she had to learn about what it was like to be in court.
Yeah, after a fashion, she sort of got cheated out of normal, didn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
So she's just, because nobody is asking anything of her here and now, she's just taking the time to experience what it's like to have normal here and now.
All right. So you're, other than at some point, a probably more rude, or probably more rude than was intended intrusion by some member of the daytime wait staff, just literally sort of showing up out of nowhere with a platter of food, with some fruits, cheeses, and a glass of something to drink on it, and say, oh, by the way, lunch, and then leaving. Sort of that rude reminder that at the end of the day, no matter how many trees you swing through, you're ultimately, again, Sinru, nobility, whatever phrase you want to use for it. Yeah. There are people who feel that it's their job to actually serve you.
Yeah. And that's a bit of it's not painful, it's just
It harshes.
Just not what I was trying to do today.
Harshes your vibe, yes.
Yeah, it just kind of steps on my vibe a little bit.
Yeah. All right.
And eventually she will go on the hunt, not for Aquidian, but like to look around the corner from Aquidian, as it were. Just be like, I don't want to be in the room, but I want to be watching what's happening from outside the room.
Yeah, keep in mind that for Aquidian, it's middle of the night. He's long to bed.
Oh, okay. Cool. So he's finished with his.
Oh yeah, no, it just
tirade.
It was the early morning temper tantrum, which for him was the end of day temper tantrum. Literally, he would have stayed up to sort out whatever was going on, because apparently it was something that needed to be handled during daylight hours. It wasn't going to keep. It would be the equivalent of of your father or mother having been dealing with a family emergency at 10 p.m. Yeah, well past.
Right.
Yeah, well past normal operating hours, right?
Then she would not. She would just spend time being a kid.
Fair enough. All right. What's Jasper up to for the afternoon?
I don't know that it's much of interest. I have one idea, which is there's some sort of library in the house.
There is, in fact, a substantial library. The sitting room that you guys were in actually had, several bookcases in it, but they were in the library. Yeah, it was. You're probably more books than Spider has seen in one room in a long, long time. But no, that wasn't the library. They actually have a substantial room. Literal, almost a story and a half tall internal, floor to ceiling. That's just floor to ceiling bookcases. Two shoulder widths as a gap between the rows.
And is there someone whose job it is to know what's in there? Because I don't think he wants to sort of like sort through the thing.
So the short version is there isn't a 24/7 librarian. What you'll find out is that there's a human staffer whose job it is to keep the place clean and do, in addition to their 7 other jobs, is part of the day is drop in any of the books which are in the return bin, put them away on the shelves, etc.
Yeah. So Jasper, I'm looking for any books about the Sky Anvil Plains, I guess, and about.
So, all right. Give me a sec here. I just need to check something real fast.
And where we're going.
I believe that's a learning role for research.
That sounds right to me. Recall facts about history, arcane magic, any information you picked up from an external source. Logic is Yeah, no, it's more like making things and deciphering codes and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, learning, I guess.
Yeah, so make a learning roll, and let's see if anything genuinely awesome boils out of it.
18.
18. All right. It's actually it's a good roll, actually. So there is, in fact, a couple of books which roughly amount to a collected series of expeditions, or, a title like that. Keep in mind that it's been 20 years, or it's at least a decade, if not longer, that Cliff Spider's been there. Just let me double check that. Hang on a sec. The Arakoa showed up 30 years ago. Sky Anvil, Cliff Spider was set up about 10 years ago. And so there have been, beyond your very storied grandfather's explorations of the mountain range. So what you have is the Sky Anvil Mountains. I think that's the name of them. And then, no, I've got the mountain range name wrong. But anyway, you've got there's a perimeter mountain range, and then you've got the Sky Anvil Plain. In point of fact, no one actually knew much about. No one actually knew that the Sky Anvil Plains were there until Captain Edgewater made one of his earliest voyages, and basically discovered that the mountains just didn't go on forever, and in fact, there's this massive central highlands in the middle of it. That's relatively new knowledge. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess what I'm more interested in is like the peoples of the Sky Anvil Plains, and like who lives there, and
so
or like what can be found there, because we know, and I would have heard all the childhood stories about the giants or whatever who lived here in ages gone by or whatever. I think I'm trying to discount all of that stuff.
Yep.
Unless there's like physical evidence of giant ruins.
Actually, that's one of the things that's interesting. So, all right. So the Sky Anvil Plains, with an 18. Let's just double check a number here. Michelle's having a dummy. An 18 is somewhere between a challenging result and a heroic result for comparison. So you're going to basically, there's going to be a scene of a suddenly very scholarly looking Jasper sitting with, two piles of books, a book on an open easel in front of him, and a note sketch as he's rummaging through this. Because, so essentially what you've discovered, or what you're going to find out over your course of the afternoon's investigations, the position of Cliff Spider is not an accident. It's it's near a major waterfall that pours down off the plain, and it turns out, possibly not unsurprisingly, right beside the sort of at the top of that cliff is a massive old giantkin fortress.
Interesting.
In fact, the river literally runs through the fortress, and so it's ruins, and it's of a scale that's absolutely useless for humans. And so Cliff Spider is in fact sort of built around the ruins built around the ruins, and partially actually down the side of the cliff on either side of the waterfall. There are substantial stories and several well-documented military and diplomatic discussions. There are at least 3 different tribes of orc-like creatures I'm going to use that word because orc is sort of the Tolkien, but it's the quick. I haven't got the race name handy to me, but essentially orc is we'll just use orc as a shorthand right now. Klingon Mongol is another way to describe them.
They're like tribal societies.
Yeah, shamanistic, obvious magic wielders, very warlike, and ruthless diplomats. So Cliff Spider has basically got an area carved out around it, which is held by a combination of show of force and regular diplomacy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think then, like, the last shot we see of Spider in the library is him writing on a notepad the word army, ? And then, like, drawing a circle around it. Mm-hmm. And then, like, that's it.
Yep. All right. Supper time, early evening. What's everyone up to? Hanging out together or avoiding each other, or what are you up to?
You go.
Oh, I'm just like, Lucas is probably starving.
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, Lucas.
He's been squeezing really hard to make magic happen, but all he's done is...
That's not how it works at all.
No, he's just...
Alexandria is there also. Oh no, that's not how it works.
Really? It's not how it goes?
What?
It's not how it works.
You've just been squeezing all day?
Yes.
Squeezing what? Exactly.
I know my face, my arms.
Why?
I thought if I could, like, I don't know, force something out, then maybe it would happen.
Did you try talking to it?
Wait, what?
Lucas just stares blankly.
Well, you're the ones that found it strange that it has an opinion.
Okay.
Just try talking.
I'll do that. I will do that. Right after dinner.
Please don't squeeze anything again. It makes me uncomfortable.
Well, I suppose, I don't know. I did get a couple of craps. It's a lot of effort.
Not if you're doing it right.
Well, yeah, now I find out.
I don't know why you didn't ask before, but okay.
Well, I couldn't find you. Yeah, Chevalier was there. He was helping me.
What did Chevalier say?
I think one of my specific instructions was to try to not force it and to instead just act as the kind of conduit for the energy and to let it happen. So they spent the rest of the day trying to force it.
Well, clearly something got mixed up. What is that old saying? You can never blame a student for a poor teacher.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious.
I also heard a saying that says you can lead a horse to water, but you cannot make it drink.
Unless you
You were
force it.
literally told how to use it, and you didn't do that.
I'm sure I've seen a horse be forced to drink.
Did you waterboard a horse?
It usually involves a horseshoe to the face, though, is the issue.
It wasn't a happy horse. No.
You want to, yeah.
Did not end well.
Or horse.
I know, the poor horse. Waterboarding a horse. Now I've got an image of this horse on its back with a cloth on its face.
What?
We probably didn't need that, thanks. Carry on, though.
I won't tell you anything.
Mr. Ed. Mr. Ed.
That last season got dark.
Oh, wow. See, this we were talking about this whole stream having no genre.
We don't.
There is.
We don't have a genre. We are every genre simultaneously.
I think like after giving him a bit of a hard time, Chevalier does sort of like clap Lucas on the shoulder a bit and goes, "I wouldn't worry too much about it. She sounds confident now, but she had some off days at first as well." And then just keeps walking.
I reckon there's a moment where Lucas would be like, I don't know, as sassy as Lucas could be. As Chevalier walks away, Lucas has got his tray of food and he's like, it's like
Sassier
high school politics or something.
It was so much sassier than I was expecting.
Oh man, I want to like cast slowed on him. Disarmed. Can I just disarm him?
All his food just goes everywhere.
He just drops the food.
All right. So yeah, what's Jasper up to?
I'm just waiting for Quidian to get up.
Sure. At some point at some point an hour or two after sunset, which is again after supper time for you folk. There's essentially 6 to 8 meals a day being served here. By the way, there's three meals plus tea being served during the day, and then they do it all again at night. Right, so it's just the scale is noticeably smaller because there are fewer folks awake during the day. And the day staff basically the daytime meals have got a completely different palate in mind, entirely because it's almost everybody but Ebon Elves who are eating, whereas the nighttime the nighttime foods are almost exclusively catering towards the Ebon Elf palate. Sometime 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the evening, mid-evening. At some point, Physio will stroll past Jasper and say he's still pissy and keep going.
Shrug. What else is new? We'll need to talk to him.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, if you're actively trying to find time to speak to a Quidian, you'll basically you'll get not quite put off, but come back in a couple of hours kind of thing.
That's fine.
Just
whenever he's ready. I don't need to...
So it'll be late evening before an Equidian will be in one of the drawing rooms or something like that. He'll have a sheaf of paper in his hands. He's clearly no roll required. He's still obviously irritated as heck about something. He literally has got a dagger driven through 3 or 4 sheets of paper into the table beside him. He's going to look. He's sporting a pair of reading glasses, which are tinted this really odd shade of purple. So he's going to be looking at you across the top of his glasses as you come in.
Are the others with me? It's up to you guys,
You
right?
tell me. Did you go get them?
I mean, like, I don't make a secret of what I'm waiting for. I've told them all I was waiting for him to get up so we could see what he wants from us.
Happy
I
to be
mean,
there.
I would be there, but behind Chevalier. I'm not going to deliberately go and stand in front of an angry ebon elf and be like, "Hey, deal with me now." That doesn't seem like the clever thing to do.
Hand him a Snickers.
Exactly.
Hashtag not sponsored.
Amazing turns into Betty White.
Things we don't need. All right.
If you think anyone can't be improved by being turned into Betty White, I think you're wrong.
So yeah. So I guess the question, what I still do not have a complete answer is, okay, so Jasper's there, obviously. Alexandria apparently is there. Is Lucas and Chevalier there as well? Yes or no?
Yeah, I was saying I was happy to be there.
Okay.
I want to be there, but I don't know if Lucas would. I reckon if everybody else is, then Lucas, out of peer pressure, would probably be there.
Fair enough. All right, so the group of you there. So yeah, so you'll come in. Like I say, he's got a half-empty, literally a half-empty wine bottle sitting beside him. He's got a goblet, that he's already made a substantial inroad in. He's scowling at whatever it is he's reading as you folks all come into the drawing room he's in. As usual, it's that weird set of blues and grays, which are all of the colors that you people can't see. Yeah, they just don't register.
It looks like a pigeon decorated this place.
Yes, I absolutely adore that clip that you posted. I've seen it also circulating a couple other places. But yes, because the Ebon Elves literally see colors differently, what is registering as grays and blues and charcoals to you lot are probably a rainbow of gaudy colors to him. But in absolute contrast to the way he was dressed the last time you saw him, I mean, he was absolutely, he had FOP +3 turned on when you first met him back at the, but he was also dressed heavily against the sunlight and everything else. This is much more of a, this is, a little bit much more relaxed, knee-high boots, the equivalent of a silk shirt, set of modest trousers. Nothing ridiculously overdone in terms of an obvious display of wealth and power. Yeah, basically his casual clothing.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yes. What can I do for you?
You said there was some business to discuss once the revelry was over.
He kind of glances at the papers with the knife stuck through them. There's just he's obviously just making a decision. He shakes his head. Yes. So, I guess my question is where are your moral limits?
But I look at everyone else.
Everyone's staring at Jasper.
I'm not familiar with the term.
Kind of rolls his eyes. I do not have time for coy. And I'm not.
I cannot speak for the others, but I do not make a habit of killing people.
Thank you. That was the question. That was one of the questions, and that probably infers the rest of the answers. Very good. I'm going to require you probably to at least break a few bones, however.
Then it would depend on who the bones belong to.
The good news is lamplighters. The short version is that in a few evenings there's going to be one of the grand social affairs at the governor's residence. Somebody who's a friend of the family will be attending. I simply need you to be bodyguards. I'm bluntly hoping that by your simple and mere presence will discourage any stupidity. However, on the odd chance that that's not the case, it will likely be because they've been paid to ignore the obvious. And if that's the case, it'll likely be the Lamplighters. Don't need you to kill anybody. I just simply need you to send them home with tacit suggestions about why they do not trifle with my friends and family.
We can do that.
Oh, I'm aware you can. The question is, will you?
Why are they troubling your family?
I'll spare you the 50-year history lesson. The short version is that we are active in the city's politics, and every once in a while, rivalries and that sort of thing. Sometimes, when you are willing to stick to your principles in spite of the offer of money, people seem to figure that violence is the other way to get you to do what it is you want. And they're not dumb enough to strike at me directly. That would invite immediate and unpleasant reprisal on the part of the family. However, they were willing to irritate our associates, our family friends, as a method of an expression of displeasure.
And you feel like they would hire the Lamplighters, who,
Well, yes, because that's
I take it, are not subtle.
The Lamplighters are as subtle as you pay them to be. So this is entirely a matter about sending messages. If a talented aristocratic artist gets herself beaten up because she stepped the wrong way on a dark evening, that's just unfortunate, isn't it? On the other hand, everybody bloody well knows what was really intended. So my objective is simply to ensure that under no circumstances she's left in a position where that might be a problem. It'll just be for 2 evenings. Basically, she has a performance to attend. She has a performance to attend to, and then some socializing to do. It'll be a grand evening of hanging out amongst the upper cusp of Glitter Delta Cove's aristocracy, such as they are, and hopefully you'll be bored to tears. Beyond.
Do you expect trouble at the events themselves, or merely between destinations?
I don't know just how stupid they are, quite bluntly. The audacious thing to do would be to cause a problem at the event itself. I can't believe that it's worth the repercussions of that, though. This isn't. I would completely be. Well, it would functionally be an act of war if they were to do anything more than injure her. So I don't expect it'll be anything more than a broken bone or some bruises. But still, the issue is intent. She is a cousin, a friend of the family. She's an absolute sweetheart, and it would upset me greatly if bluntly unrelated issues were to cause her were to ruin her stay in the city.
Sort of look around at the other three, because for Chevalier this seems fine. This is just protect person from less than desirable people, and it's like,
and is there a payment for the job?
Well, that depends what you want, doesn't it? I'm not in. I trade in favors. I suspect that's not a surprise to anybody. But I'm also aware of the fact that you've spent a substantial amount of your out of your own pockets to book passage on a ship. So I'm open to arranging things between us, however it is you feel is advantageous to you, so, presuming that your version of advantageous isn't too outrageous. So what's in your mind?
Jamie is having a complete mental blank because there's no real like system of payment in this game, as far.
Well, actually, technically there is. You could essentially, depending what mechanically, you can always request a wealth level increase. That would be a substantial sum of money, probably disproportionate. But one of the things that sort of goes into what I would be willing to do, on the other hand, is if you're going to make a substantial purchase, the way the system works is with essentially you roll equivalently wealth level. And if you screw things up, you can actually permanently lose a level of wealth. The way I would treat that, as opposed to saying, oh, he's willing to pay you 1,000 gold or 200 gold or 15 copper or whatever, basically you'd get to the group would essentially have an advantage, if you will, sitting for the group's next wealth level roll, to represent the fact that you've earned some. That would be a fairly substantial payment. Alternately, narratively, is that having someone like Aquidian owe you a favor might not be the worst possible thing. But yeah, mechanically you're right. Unlike other games where you're transacting bales of gold coins,
unless it's like magic items or something.
Yeah.
Which is...
And again, that I'm Michelle is quite open to you guys just taking a minute, hashing amongst yourselves what you want. But mechanically, if what you're going to do is ask for money, then what I would say is the group essentially would have the equivalent of an advantage token to use on a future wealth roll. If you needed to do something like book a clipper going somewhere in a hurry, or then suddenly you've got the option that if when you make a wealth roll things don't go well, you've got an advantage you can throw onto the pile.
Have we already done the relevant role for our ship booking?
So yeah, that's already been handled. You've already got a ship paid for.
I feel like we could potentially ask for either to get a better sense of what the process of traveling to Dusseldorf underground would be, and get a clearer sense of how difficult that might be, or if that is just a bit beyond, we could potentially see if we could try and set up something where when we do leave by boat, they're able to run some kind of interference to essentially muddy the trail for anyone trying to get this bounty on us.
Yeah. Do you want to ask those questions in character?
Yeah, certainly. There is something, the option, I guess, was raised for essentially the potential of traveling to Dusseldorf, underground. That I think the term used was that everything is ultimately connected to everything else. Though that would, by what I can gather, take a substantially longer amount of time, it would be interesting to have a clearer idea of what that possibility entailed. Otherwise, should we ultimately continue with our booked passage on the boat, we would be grateful if in return of service you were able to make it more difficult for our trail to be followed if anyone else, more bounty hunters, decide that this well, a mount on our head is desirable.
How realistic is it, Aquidium, to walk from here to Cliff Spider by your paths?
Well, you definitely need a guide. Someone like Renamala or one of her kin could get you there. Is there a road that leads from here to there that I know of? No. Is there one? Probably. Probably. Honestly, I don't wander very far from cities. It's not my thing, he says with a smile. I've discovered a distinct lack of fine wine outside most cities. So, as I say, Renamala and her kin, on the other hand, that's essentially their stock and trade. If there's a way to get there, she would know the people to ask to find the route. She may even know the route herself, I don't know. Is it feasible? Kind of looks at a lot of you. For almost any other group of, excuse the derogatory, surface dwellers, I would say no. For you, it would just be difficult. It will take. I kind of thinks. Kind of looks at a wall. It kind of looks at a map on the wall, and sort of this entire coastline. Sort of it's the entire east coast of the continent. It's basically about a month. Presuming. I mean, obviously enough. The straight line involves going under the bay. That involves an awful lot of down, as much down as it does over. But we live deep, so I can't see it being an issue. I imagine it. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I'd say a month, possibly faster, depending on how well you adapt to life under there. It's different.
So
we'd have to buy.
I look at Lucas and Alexander and say, we'd lose at least 2 weeks. How fast do you want to move?
Alexandre, we'll use Whisper of the Wild.
I thought you might do that, yes.
Yeah. And say, is haste required for what you need?
No.
Then she will say to Spider, I would like to see the underworld.
It is the kind of adventure we came looking for.
I think Lucas would nod, and then I think he would say to Spider, I really want to meet our grandfather. But I suppose 2 weeks compared to 20 years is nothing.
It will certainly throw off the bounty hunters. All right, Aquidian. We'll help you out with your girlfriend, and then...
He eye rolls.
Yeah. and say, and you'll provide us with a guide.
If you expect me to pay the wages of a professional pathfinder for a month, we'll have to talk about something a little bit more than spending a couple of evenings at a ball with a debutante. But that's okay. I have something in mind that would be well worth my time, and my time and wealth for that.
Speaking of invoking perks, I'd like to, if it works for you, Michelle, combine both my observant and silver tongue perk here. So observant lets me notice once per game session. I notice something out of the ordinary or that others would typically miss. And silver tongue is once per session talking to a person for 5 minutes or more, I learn a useful secret. I want to know what's going on with the stuff on his desk, the papers, the knife. I want to know what the real problem is.
Sure. And so I'm going to actually require you, because when you get the answer, I'm going to straight up require a deception style roll to not have your jaw hit the ground.
Okay.
So, because
but is it deception, or is this like willpower, like maintaining resolve?
I think willpower is going to be more accurate to not react, because what
I thought it might be. It's not my best skill, but I figured that
what you're going to realize as you're looking around and chatting and whatever, and your eyes drift over to the dagger shoved into the. It's a nice dagger, by the way. Complete masterwork piece of creation, jeweled hilt, Cree style blade, just because it's extra. Etc. It's
amazing.
Yeah, but what it's drilled through, all the pages have been turned upside down, but it's an exceedingly fine quality of vellum. And so you're actually able to sort of, and this is sort of espionage-y thing. I think that would be right up Jasper's lane as a burgeoning mastermind. He's actually able to see through the top sheet of paper what the top sheet of paper is. It's a map. To the mill.
Oh, motherfucker. All right. Let's roll.
Let's see that roll.
I'm looking at my sheet, and I used whatever legend points I had, I think.
Man, ignorance is such bliss right now.
Yeah, Spider is currently the only person without a legend point. However, the group does have one legend point.
Oh, there's a floating one.
Yeah, there is a floating one, yes. So
Man, I want you to fail so hard right now. I don't want you to succeed.
Wait, legend points aren't rerolls, though, are they? They're just advantage.
It's an advantage.
Oh, yeah, then it's way too late. I rolled a 3.
Ooh.
Wow. Now, Aquidian himself is pretty capable. So he gets a D20 and 2D6 to see if he notices you going at the stack of papers.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was halfway through answering his question and then just went...
So I'm going to go so far as to say everyone in the group is literally aware that Jasper was going...
I don't think we've seen him stumble during negotiations before.
So he rolled an 18.
Uh-huh.
So Aquidian, there's going to be this incredibly long moment where Aquidian's going to be looking at Jasper and then sort of follow the line of his gaze down to the dagger into the stack of papers, and then back up. He says, "Is there something there you recognize?"
We'll do the job, Aquidian. But we don't want to be messing around with any more silver hand business.
He pauses for a moment. I wasn't asking you to, but I find that very interesting. I find your comment interesting. I'll have Rachel Gray contact you when you arrive in the city. You'll leave on the boat tomorrow morning. Understood?
Understood.
By the way, I don't think it's lost on Alexandria that the air temperature in the room has just dropped substantially.
Oh, yes.
Thank you. Now I have work to do. So
Alexandre leaves. Gets out.
Yeah, we're all leaving. Jasper, what was that?
What just happened?
That was a hard 3 to roleplay, all right?
that was
Give me a minute.
well done.
Yeah, I think like Jasper's made it halfway down the hallway and then is like sort of leaning against the wall, like half hyperventilating.
What is wrong with you?
Breathe.
And that, yeah, like just look around and Quiddy, I don't know what, but he knows about the mill. I couldn't get the details, the papers, something
On the desk.
Yeah.
The ones that he had angrily stabbed.
Yeah.
Let's go back to our rooms.
Yeah.
Back in the room, everyone's standing awkwardly amongst a pile of water glasses.
Yep.
Can I, for lack of anything else to do, can I just spend the next like hour while we're discussing casting Genesis to fix the door?
Yes, because there's still a handkerchief glued over the door.
I'm listening. I promise I'm listening. Just
I love this idea that they're having a serious conversation just around empty glasses of water. Like, they just haven't been moved, but they're just sitting around.
Actually rearranged
Yeah, no, I made
pyramids.
I made a pyramid out of them.
There's space that you can walk around, but there's the room is just, and the wait staff have just left them there. They presume this is
Right.
an odd thing you surface dwellers do. So
It's like, I love this. It reminds me of this episode of this show that I watched where they're like, we went to a place where we could have a serious conversation, and it was a ball pit. Like, and so they're just having this serious conversation in this, like, filled with all these balls all around them.
It was something like that. I've seen that scene.
What do you mean, the mill? Like, the Tolman mill?
Yep.
But I don't get it. Why would the elves have anything to do with Tolman?
No, Lucas. I don't want to get involved.
Well, it seems like we are. I mean, we were there. Do you think Aquidian is the kind of person to, to put 2 and 2 together?
I
Don't think he would need to ultimately figure out who it was that was there. There were survivors, and it won't be difficult to figure out.
And I didn't make it any more difficult back there. I apologize for panicking.
You were taken off guard. It is surprising. Would not have expected that of him.
For all we know, he just got a report about it. I don't know, but
maybe
This doesn't feel like a safe house anymore.
but he wants us to leave soon anyway. He wants us to leave tomorrow. We're doing what he wants us to do.
Exactly. We're still doing the work.
But we didn't. Well, we may have ended the little mill and that whole operation, but that won't be enough for him to want our heads or anything.
Maybe we should just ask him about it.
It would ultimately depend on where his involvement was. If this was merely something he was aware of, that he had been promised some kind of benefit, then he would be obviously put out that it was not going to happen. But if he was the one to arrange it, now that is much more sinister.
I mean, this whole area, I don't really like the meritocracy.
If you were wanting to try to take back the city, an armory like that would be the place to start.
And you said, Lucas, the number of people that could fit on that boat.
It's quite a lot.
Jamie, you're muted. If you were trying to say something just there.
All right. Am I still muted?
No,
Can you
you're
hear
fine
me?
now. Yeah, I noticed your
Okay.
lips moving. I wasn't hearing anything, so just...
Yeah. Yep, that's about right. What we did in Breezy Point Bay, we did because people were getting hurt. And I think whatever side of Gwydion is on of this, he would understand that. Even if it were potentially costly to him.
We certainly don't know whether or not he was aware of how it was being handled, more that it no longer is.
And the point I made stands. We don't want to be messing with Silverhand business.
Well, let's just keep going. Do what he says. Well, maybe as long as the Grand Mayor here is around and in charge, then we're safe.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Imagine it would be a good idea to kill cousins.
I do not think they would go against their promise of safe harbor, at least for as long as it stands.
Exactly. I don't think we're in any immediate threat. So we stay on the good side, and we do what we said we'd do. We do the job. Maybe we do another job. We get a guide, and we disappear.
And if all shit hits the fan, we go.
Away from it, not toward it.
Away. We find another way to get to Dusseldorf.
is slightly awkward to put our trust in arranging a not traveling through the underworld is risky, obviously. If it does turn out that we should not be trusting him, which I'm not saying is the case, but having him be the one to arrange our guide, and it might not be the smartest move.
Better when we get to it.
Well, let's do this bodyguard job.
Yeah, I mean, until that moment, I was thinking we was on easy street. To be perfectly honest, this kind of work suits us about as good as any.
It's better that we know than not. It's exciting, though.
Get to go to another party. See the other side, I guess.
Well, you lot get dressed up for it. I imagine I'll be watching your backs.
I feel like, at least for Lucas and I, a somewhat different suit.
We'll have matching bodyguard outfits.
Look, if you can get a suit of armor made to look like me, more power to you.
Did we get the name of the girl we're protecting?
No, you ducked out before.
No, we didn't. That was going to be my next question before you just decided to like throw out all of our plans and do something different.
Look, Dice decided.
Did they? Did they?
Yes.
I love dice.
Oh, man,
Chaos
me too.
Plateau. All about it.
Thank you, Clicky Clacky Happy Rocks.
Oh, good grief. Yeah. Right then. So, I mean, well, that's awkward. Now what?
Bedtime.
Yeah,
I was about to say, it's probably late.
yeah. I think we
I was
just
just going to say, I mean, it was...
and we have to get up early, presumably, to get on this boat. So
Alexandria would still want to talk to Eshanani if she can.
Yeah,
Very briefly.
I was just going to say, yeah, that's doable. She's going to be, when you sort of when you catch up with her, she's going to be out in the rose garden with a cup of tea in hand. Jazina will actually come find you. For lack of a better way of putting it, there'll be some noise down the hallway as you guys are wrapping up your conversation. Just about the time as you get the door finished, then there's going to be a sudden thump, thump, thump on the door that you've just finished fixing.
That means it works.
Yes, indeed. And yes, it'll be Jazina letting you know that that Ashani is basically having a few moments at the beginning of her evening, and has a few minutes to chat with you if you'd like. So you'll get let out to, like I say, out to the rose garden. There's going to be a little reflecting pool. It's part of the garden you've probably seen, but it's one of the reflecting balls sitting. But it itself is a fountain, so there's water pouring down over the reflecting ball, over the marble pillar, and into a reflecting pool, which creates this very interesting effect where right around the base of the pool of the pillar, of course, there are the ripples of the water splashing, but out near the edges, it's mirror flat. So you get these 2 points of reflection with this chaos, if you will, in between. So she's going to be sitting there with a cup of tea on the go, and basically the equivalent of tea and scones. The tea, of course, smells pretty sharp, and and then the Ebon Elf love of everything, of strong flavors and smells. So yeah, the scone has no doubtedly got a fairly hefty taste of vinegar to it of some kind. So yes, but she seems to be very pleased with herself. What can I do for you, my dear?
I just briefly wanted to let you know. You liked Lucas Sr. a lot.
She smiles. I have a fond spot for him, yes.
I just wanted to let you know he is not dead.
She's going to sit her teacup down. What?
He is alive.
She's actually going to very briefly look angry at you for a moment and then school her features. How do you know that?
Magic?
She raises an eyebrow at you. Really?
Yes. It's the same ways that I know that I have somewhere to go. And which ways that is.
She's going to nod at you with a very thoughtful look on her face. Thank you for telling me. Do you know where he is?
No. Just that he is alive. Or he was when I asked.
So she gets this irritated frown on her face. And when did you ask?
When you were telling us about him.
Oh, so a couple of nights ago then. Well, that's interesting. Thank you. It's been a long time since I've seen him.
I think it's a long time since a lot of people have seen him. If he knew that he was going and he was not coming back. There aren't many people, I think, that would know what that looks like on someone's face.
What I know of him is that he's sufficiently, as I recall him, sufficiently talented and sufficiently smart that lost was never a word that I found acceptable in his description. So the question is why has he been so long? He's human. He's going to be running out of time. Thank you.
You're welcome.
For lack of a better way of putting it, you've never been dismissed by a teacup before.
Oh yeah. I feel like I probably have seen people dismissed by a teacup before.
Yeah.
I know what that looks like.
Yeah.
Now you know what it feels like.
It feels the way it looked. Yes.
All right.
Fermented.
So, break time again. We'll take a moment, refill cups and all the other good stuff, and we will, unless there is something you folks want to do in the meantime, we will resume with you folks on the dock with the sun rising. That work for you? All right.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll be right back in a few minutes, folks. Like I say, just our second break for the for the morning, and we will resume. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. So I came back, sat down with a mug, and to hear my group complaining bitterly about my mistreatment of them just now.
We were not complaining at all. I was very happy.
I feel it was more congratulatory.
Yes.
Yeah. All of us got good.
Yeah.
We're the bad guys.
I'm not a baddie. No.
Look, this is the thing. I never had a problem with someone having a forge and wanting to take over that particular area. I had a problem that their forge was causing the lizard people to not be able to eat.
It's like I had a problem with the genocide.
Yeah, exactly. Which he may not even have had any idea was going on. Just because.
Yeah, that could actually be the conversation. Is like, you broke my forge. Like, they were causing genocide. They were what?
Exactly. See?
And look, that's why Alexandre's like, why don't we just go talk to him? Like, why don't we just like
this is
talk
working
this
on
out?
talking to him.
This is why you don't contract assassins for your building job.
Yeah, there is the bit where he's in bed with like
there's
the
that.
Assassin's Guild,
Yeah.
but like you know,
What if
That's
the
not
cousin-
surprising.
What if the cousin is Tolman that we're looking after?
oh, that's bad. Anyway,
I mean,
let's stop giving
face to face,
ideas.
face to face. She's got somehow she's managed to get another
It's just like
ring,
so many questions.
and it's just like
She's not even disguised. She's just like just as herself. It's like
Well, yes, because you've got
Spider-Man meme.
No, it's okay. This guy.
We Spider-Man meme at each other.
Yes, because you have her earring. So if she's still alive, she can't disguise herself as her brother. Except quote the old-fashioned way. Well, he was a significantly bigger lad at the shoulder than she is, amongst other things.
And we didn't even look for him.
It's the elf. It's the elf that got away.
Yeah.
Alexandre knows that feeling.
Not what I meant, but sure.
Oh yeah,
That's
I
the
know.
name of her biography.
Oh gosh. So yeah, no, that was. I was just going to say that was sort of the reveal I've been sort of very carefully crawling towards over the past 3 days of you guys hanging out and partying and thinking everything's just fine. And why is it Quidian throwing a fit? Oh dear.
It's really interesting that it's taken this long for him to get that information, given we arrived days ago.
Yes, but the thing is depending on what's going on, it's actually only only basically a week's lag by comparison to when you guys showed up in town, desperately trying to stay ahead of the news.
Yeah, and if he got the post through the Underveld, then that's going to take longer than over.
Yeah.
That's true.
So yeah, like, and again, because it's been the Fisher celebration, basically business has been on hold for a couple of days, and their shuttle boat only runs every couple of days, right? Because it takes about a day, a little bit more to get there. So essentially, news hadn't arrived by the time you were coming here. Is essentially what happened, and so literally missed the boat. And this isn't the sort of thing, I suppose there's probably would have been some sort of magical means they could have passed the message, but yeah, they... Yeah.
Someone killed their magic user.
Was that the arrow?
That wasn't me. That one wasn't
That was
That was
definitely me.
that was a spider.
me.
That was the one.
That was the one I got through the window. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You find out if we actually had decided to check out the door, it's just a Quidian's like surface house.
He's laughing, which means it's out.
It's either a really good or a really sign. So you know.
Would I do a thing like that? Anyway, so, yeah, you guys rolled out.
Yes, it's going to be.
DM better ideas.
I apologize, Chantel, but I'm really not sorry. So,
I'm so pitiful, though.
Drew's doing an attempt at trying to hide it better, but he's not succeeding. So,
No, I've only got my hands.
awkward. So yeah, you guys are down to talk. Any conversation going on amongst yourselves, or just standing there quietly and trying not to be seen?
Who else is here? Because
Wait,
Yeah.
wait, hang on. Yeah, discussion. Who are we looking after? I want to find out that information before we leave here, because I feel like once we get there, there's a problem.
he said Rachel Gray would give us the info.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
once we got into the city.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that, and just hope that this ship doesn't
Jazina and
sink.
Zadrez like getting on this boat though. That's
To be fair, technically they're still like Rachel Gray is here. She could give it to
Rachel
us now.
Gray is currently here. Yeah, we're
But-
aware that Rachel Gray is here.
Hang on a second here. I'm just quickly. All right. I cannot find right now the name of the chap who runs the boat. Oh yes, there it is. Iron Lancet. Thank you. Just being slow. So yes, there's the riverboat. The Iron Lancet is the one you guys will be taking. Yeah. So yeah, actually no, there's no one else here but you. Early in the morning, sun's coming up. You know, the ship's tied alongside. It came in clearly overnight, or early yesterday. Yeah, actually, it wasn't here yesterday. Alexandria was out swimming yesterday, so she would have noticed it. So it wasn't here yesterday morning or yesterday afternoon, because that's when Alexandria was down at the dock swimming. So it either came in it must have come in overnight. Yeah, there's essentially it's fairly quiet morning so far. Not a lot going on. You know, you've all essentially got the equivalent of a picnic of a picnic lunch that you grabbed out of the kitchen. But as you recall, I mean, they were serving food on the trip too. There we are.
It's not like a fishing dinghy; it's a proper boat.
Yeah, exactly. So you know, the last time you were at, but you know. Fizzo didn't want any of you folks to, you bloody ships. They think they know how to cook. Here, take this and take this and take this. Basically, sends you off with the equivalent of a picnic lunch for breakfast. So apparently, washing dishes is worth something. So, so yeah. The Lancet will be leaving about an hour after dawn, and as you folks know, it's the better part of a day to get there. They go for about 8 hours. They take a couple hour break, and then they finish the trip down to the trip. Now that was coming up. It may go faster because you'll be running with the current as opposed to against it. Yeah. So, what are you folks doing over the course of the day while you're on the vessel? The weather's quite favorable. There's a bit of a chop on the river. Keep in mind that it's not less of a river. It's more like a very wide, shallow lake right now. The water is this rich, muddy color with all of the silts and stuff that have been dragged up. As you're going along, you see the tops of trees sticking out of the water, just apparently at random. Now, well away from the channel, of course, but it's just very odd to see the top of a forest just sticking up out of the water. As I say, every once in a while you'll pass a hill that's got a few huts or something on it and things like that. Well, a hill, I mean an island. Yeah. When if the water was 2 or 3 meters lower, it would be a hill. Right now, it's an island. So
I think
all day. What are you up to?
Lucas will. I think at the bow of the boat. I think the idea knowing that this is probably the last moment before they have to like start working and do their thing, is gonna like just flirt with the idea of asking the song. Doing what Alexandri said, just ask the song like, how do we do this?
Okay. Go ahead and do me a favor and roll an energy roll with advantage, please.
Okay. Great.
That's enough.
Talk about the dice not working for me tonight. 8.
I guess the best way of explaining it is that you actually can, again, there's this, unlike the last time when essentially you were rewarded with absolute dead silence, the better way of explaining what happens is, while nothing happens, you are very aware of where Alexandri is standing and the sound of the song radiating from where she's at.
Mm-hmm.
Do I sense that?
I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to turn to her.
Mm-hmm. I'm just because I think it's narratively interesting. She's literally at the opposite end of the boat, probably sort of over, but back on the stern castle, possibly watching a water bird of some kind of drifting lazily behind the boat, hanging in the air, following along.
She's doing that, but she's also like just absent-mindedly creating many flowers.
Mm-hmm.
Just because summoning creatures from flowers works. So she's just doing it.
Okay.
Because it's doable and easy to do.
So there's going to be this trail of flower petals in the water behind the boat.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go up to her.
Mm-hmm.
I tried asking the song,
Okay.
but all I can hear is you.
Okay. Me? Me or the song?
Well, the song, but it's coming from you.
Well, yes, I'm using it.
I just don't. It feels like it's just out of reach.
That's what it felt like for me too. When I first heard it, it was very far away and it was very quiet.
Okay.
Took time.
Okay.
Be careful. So,
What do you mean?
well, you know, our Chevalier said that I didn't get it all right to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
You know the beautiful fireworks we saw the other day?
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that inside.
But the house.
Imagine that inside.
Did you blow up your house?
No. But I singed it.
Okay. That's terrifying. A little bit cool. But terrifying.
Why do you think I said that you need to learn how to use it?
Because I don't know how to use it.
Exactly. I am very young and I am very, compared to you, small. I don't know if La Chanson goes by physical size, but if it does, you probably don't want to be inside or anywhere dangerous when you try to use it.
So trying to use it on this boat is probably not a good idea.
Nope, don't do it.
As a tree comes
You
by.
could you could literally kill us all.
Okay. Good to know. Outdoors, big locations, no hazards.
Firm ground.
Okay.
Which means again not the boat. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Have you, I mean, you've set fireworks off in a house. What else?
Well, now I can create things. And now I can heal people and things.
But
And I can destroy things.
okay. Good to know. What's the difference? Does it feel different, the
Between
creation versus the destruction?
Sort of. But one of them feels a little bit like spring. The other one feels a little bit like autumn. But that's not perfect. It's just sort of like the smell. You know the smell of spring and the smell of autumn? Imagine feeling that.
Okay. My senses are getting very confused right now.
So did mine.
I'm gonna need to process how you can touch smell.
You will learn. She looks off.
No.
Wisely off the.
What are you looking at?
What?
You just.
I'm watching the bird.
You just started looking into the distance.
Yes, I'm watching the bird.
Okay.
You will learn. You will learn.
You keep doing it. Can we end the scene there?
Yeah, I think it's probably a really good opportunity to switch the camera perspective, if you will. So what's Jasper up to?
Nothing? I don't know. Nothing to do on a boat.
He's 4 foot away with his jaw open, just being like,
To be any more awkward? Can you? No, don't try. Chevalier, anything you're going to be doing over the course of the day?
probably at some point. We might have left, but just to remind, the whole reason.
Okay, you are freezing up really
We went
bad.
to
I have no idea what you're trying to tell me. Try again.
Oh no.
That was amazing.
It was really poignant and you know,
And largely absent.
and I was saying that there should probably be some point, and potentially it was actually even before we left.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like just sort of people wanting to sort of just and you know, be up on the fact that, you know, the reason we sought out a safe house in the first place was the team of bounty hunters that were trailing us. They're probably still there.
Something hanging out at a public party as bodyguards.
Quite obviously hanging out, yeah. Being less discreet than previous. Particularly if it's a 2-day party. It's like, man, did you see that group of bodyguards on the first night? So, everyone just be aware.
All right.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Lucas is very much aware that there is Lancium around too, wanting to stab him at some point.
Alexandra's forgotten about all of this.
Oh, dear.
See, I'm no longer like worried about these people because we now have like a legitimate reason to do violence. Which is in protection of our target. So I don't mind if they come for us now. Now we have a reason.
Okay, that's really funny. We've got a reason to be violent. We're safe. No, that's
Yeah, exactly.
We're morally safe.
They came right at us. I mean her. They came right at
I'm more
her.
worried about us being legally safe.
Hang on.
We're like sanctioned.
But Jamie, we're not the target.
No, but I mean,
It's the bounty hunters we are.
but if
Or
it's-
are we?
This is
it's
the
Are we
Lancium. They
target?
come for us. We disguise it as them attacking the target when we fight them back.
Oh, God.
Wait, are we the target? We're putting us in a very public place.
Yeah, that was
Are we just?
that was pretty much it.
I mean, Aquidian knew our situation. He wouldn't do it if he didn't think it was reasonable.
Or, you know,
Is
if you
he
wanted us
selling
dead.
us to bounty hunters? Yeah. Are we being just like, here?
something
Go do this.
burned my mill down. Ghost
Yeah, you know,
place.
we get into a fight and then the cousin just like knifes one of us and says Aquidian says hello and then just like disappears into the night. It's like, yeah, we probably should have seen this coming. All right. Bleed out and die. Well.
Kind of interested as much as I shouldn't be to see Chevalier bleed out and die.
Boil it.
Because how? Just lubricant.
I mean, Chevalier was surprised as well.
Damn,
I have
haven't
complete faith in you. We'll survive while I run away.
Chevalier standing here. Last thought was, oh yeah, people use bandages. I've never had to do that before.
How has this not come up before? Wait, is this
around for answers?
is this pain? Is this what I've been doing to people? This is awful. I hate this. No.
Welcome, Chevalier, to being human.
Yeah,
It just falls away. He's just like, oh,
awkward.
gross.
Yeah, we need to fix this.
I need to poop.
Welcome to bowel movements.
All right, so you folks will arrive late in the evening.
Change of topic.
I mean, let's be honest. Yeah, there's stuff to do other than bathroom humor jokes. So you folks will arrive.
We've had our fair share on this show, to be fair.
So you folks will arrive late in the evening. Spring flood still as the water line up where you remember it. It's probably at some point going to cross all of your collective minds that, you know, having been watching the tops of forests go by at one point and things like that, and the islands, that probably it's going to be very interesting to see what this place looks like one day, where, you know, it's actually a hill instead of an island. So yeah. So late in the evening, as I recall, Chevalier did a little bit of bridge burning So I presume you're not going back to the Winter Crystal, and I presume you're not staying at the Blue Skies Inn. So
Camping under the stars.
What? Because what if we do? We have like.
Yeah, did they say?
Where is Rachel Gray supposed to be contacting us? Because like it wouldn't difficult to go back to the first inn.
yeah, well,
But easy to arrange somewhere else. Was there like a secondary spot that they would recommend?
that's actually a reasonable question. You're actually going to be directed, oddly enough, to and this you can do with this piece of information what you want, but it's actually over in the Guild and Merchant District, not far. It's in the northeast corner of the Guild and Merchant District, and the place is actually called the Saucy Wench, of all strange names. So it's just one of those names that Spider is, he knows what kind of establishment that would be back where he comes from, but he'd be down at the Docks District, and, etc. But yeah, no, it's straight up called the Saucy Wench, and yet, oddly enough, it's stuck over in the corner of the Merchants and Guilds District.
Alexandre
a
looks
pasta
at
bar?
the name. Alexandre looks at the name, gets flashbacks. Continues day.
Yeah. Oh, bloody hell. Hang on a second. Something's misbehaving here.
Saucy wench.
So, yeah. It's a relatively small place, actually. It's only got 2 private rooms, which are currently in use. Common room is you'll have some space in the common room, but that's where you were told that Rachel Gray will leave message with the barkeep. Now there's the tavern keep. Now there's absolutely no requirement for you folks to stay there. In fact, you'd wind up having to sleep in the common room if you were to stay here. But that's the location that you'd want to be to drop in.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's stay in the tavern across the road.
Sure enough. All right. That place is noticeably larger.
Sober wench.
Yeah.
It's actually called the Lazy Sky. Yeah, there's a couple. It actually has a couple of private rooms available. So you'll be able to stay there if you want. Yeah. I think Spider, without requiring a roll, is going to notice some fairly shifty-looking characters hanging out over in one corner of the table. They don't look like... they don't look... They're exactly the kind of people in Spider's history, if you will, that you could expect to cause a problem wherever they're at. They all seem to be currently keeping to themselves. Currently, they're playing cards. What looks to be a mixture, some game involving a combination of cards and dominoes. But yeah, just the whole vibe off of them is they're an accident waiting to happen.
Yep. I'll keep an eye on them.
Mm-hmm. All right. So yeah, you guys will be able to get the last 2 available rooms. Brothers, the brothers in one room, and Chevalier and Alexandre in the other, as per usual, I presume. Yeah. So. What's the plan? You guys have got essentially until, quote, Rachel Gray arrives to hang out.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not a good idea for us to go sightseeing again.
3 minutes later. Do we know what nights these two of these events are happening over?
No, you haven't been given any information. Basically, you were told to.
Yeah.
You were. It wasn't quite as bad as get the hell out of my room, but literally you got the impression that Equidian had more to say, and then because of the conversation between he and Spider, all of that got railroaded, and I'll just get my sister to tell you later. But yeah, you guys are actually kind of lacking on details right now.
Thanks, Spider.
Thanks, Dice.
You're welcome.
All right. I think what we're going to do is wrap it up for today, and we will, at the point you guys don't have anything in particular you've got in mind for a scene, we'll wrap it up there for today, and we'll start in with you folks. Next week, we'll start off with you folks having a drink with Rachel, and discussing the task at hand, if you will.
That's great.
Right. So
Bring it on, Rachel.
So thank you very much, all. But yeah, it is that time of the day. Yeah, I had fun. I'm glad you guys. I'm glad you guys took it well.
We've been scarred by the mill.
You're welcome.
It's deeply ingrained in our psyche as a trigger.
Well, I'm glad to trigger you then. I'm that kind of person. So you all take care of yourself, and we'll see you in a week. So let's start out with Chantel. Goodbyes.
Hey. Goodbye. Find me on Twitter. Find me here. Find me everywhere. Oh, you can also find me at NE_actor on time zones. Eastern time, Tuesday, 8 p.m. playing The City of Mist.
Ooh.
In which we're really bad investigators and way better at arguing.
So a procedural drama then. Got it.
We walk to a place, we ask one question, we go, you know what? That's all the information we really wanted. We just leave, and it's very much an investigative game. So we keep getting just handed information because we're just like, no, I don't want it. So we're having a great time. But also anything that crops up on Do Respite's YouTube channel is also with me involved. So yeah. Oh, wait. It's the 13th. PAX Online is next week and the week after.
Well, it's it's the 13th for you. Yes.
It's the 13th for me.
Yeah.
So PAX Online starts soon. I did 3 different panels. So
Oh wow.
check them out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hit up my Twitter. They're there.
All right.
The first one I think is on Sunday night, your time.
Very cool. Drew.
Ooh, I am. Oh, I'm not muted. Hello and goodbye. I'm Drew. Hi. This is the only thing I stream, so I'll see you next week. Anything else? Oh, you can find me on Twitter at Drew Wilson. And I think that's my Insta handle, as well as, well, we don't, do people use Facebook? I don't say hello or accept friendships from people I don't know. So don't find me on Facebook, everybody. Yeah.
Right,
Facebook uses you.
Yeah.
all right then. Sam?
Hello, that's me. I'm also on Twitter at the _RealSammyP. I'm also, like Chantel, I'm on the other shows here at New Respite, which are going up onto the YouTube channel. So both Ley Lines of London and Secrets of Saltrana. I forget what the... We went through
Saltrana, that is correct.
we went through a couple of S iterations. But yeah, so Secrets of Saltrana as well.
Is Ley Lines of London the follow-on to Paddington Prowler?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Ah, very cool. Okay.
So And turns out in our last episode, the more things change, the more things stay the same. So that was familiar. But it was great.
Don't blame me. I feel attacked.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Constance's fault.
No, it wasn't.
All right.
No.
Jamie.
Yeah, that's me. I'm Jamie Collette. You can find me on Twitter at Muffin Manifesto or at my website, jamie-collette.com. I'm a professional voice actor and director, and you should check out streamedshakespeare.com, where you can see a bunch of the readings that I've been doing since COVID hit. You can also buy on-demand video of The Merchant of Venice, which was our first fully rehearsed show. And in 6 weeks' time, you'll be able to see Richard III, which I'm directing, which stars the lovely Drew Wilson.
Yay!
Has a number of interesting roles.
I do the acting.
Yeah.
All right. Right then. And I think that's everyone. So but I guess the only person left is me. So yeah, my name's Michel Vaillancourt. I'm the storyteller for this fantastic group of folks. Thank you very much for joining us. You can catch up with me on Twitter, MichelV69. You can also hang out with me Sunday mornings, normal service being resumed tomorrow at 9:02 PE Gaming, where I talk about running games, as well as game systems, tools for making maps, all the other good stuff. Sometimes it's me mapping, sometimes it's a podcast. Drop in, find out which one it is this week. I think that's it. I'd have to go double check, Chantel. I'm bad at that. I don't go to my own Twitch channel that often. So, so yeah. Thank you very much for joining us today for Unlawful Disorder. Appreciate your time. If you're catching this later, yes, it's exactly at Chantal. I don't call me often either. So yeah. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your time. Unlawful Disorder, of course, is a production of Do Respite Media. Do Respite is the brainchild and product of Eric, who believes very heavily in investing in stories. We appreciate your time. If you can, do subscribe, do support the channel. If you like what it is we're doing, it helps us out. It keeps us on basically keeps the lights on so we can keep doing stuff like this. All the best. Take care of yourselves. Have a great week, and we'll continue with our heroes finding out what exactly it is that they've got to do next. Bye-bye.